have the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer led by Barry Albert.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh God, we come to you today to pray for our local community, our community leaders and employees, as well as our local businesses. Keep our community safe and prosperous, and may we all work together to make our community a success.
Amen. Roll call.
Albert.
Here.
Venable.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Stock.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Meadows.
Here.
Cowherd.
Here.
Hurt.
We'll hear citizens' comments next.
Oh, this one first.
Oh, okay. We've been notified that the carnival has pulled out for Heritage Day's celebration, unfortunately. So there will be no need to consider the street closure request for Heritage Days. And we're taking that off the agenda from unfinished business. Okay, hearing of citizens' comments. Dan Golder's here to talk to us, and
all three of us are here, actually.
Sorry.
We thought the more the merrier for this introduction. So I'm Chuck Duncan. I am, they call me your municipal marketing manager. And I've been with the company for about 9.5 years or so. And I come over here to the northern Missouri hemisphere to help out Mr. Dan Golder right here. He's your new district manager. He actually took over Dan Buckley's position, and I think most of you know that by now, but if not, today's the day. And then our new route manager, if you would like to introduce him for us.
Yeah, this is Gabe Gravitt. He's our new route manager. Some of you may have known John Vanderslice left the company. Gabe has been with us for about 5 years. He's actually been a trainer for us in the Macon area for a long time. I mean, for the 5 years, and he has taken the position as route manager for this location. So, and we will make sure we get his contact information out. But he has, as you can see, he came off route to make sure he could come in tonight and meet everybody.
Thank you.
So, yeah, he's raring and ready to go. So.
Looking for some big changes anyway.
Good.
So we just wanted to, first of all, introduce ourselves, since it's been a while since we've gotten out to meet everybody, and there's been a few changes, and just assure everybody that you will be shortly returned, if you haven't already, to your same level of service, if not better, that you're accustomed to. And still a lot of the same guys running the trucks, just a WM sticker instead of an ADS sticker at the end of the day, and a few more technological changes that should really help us out in the long run. So now we'll turn it over to Dan and just go over your annual report. And sorry we couldn't do it last year due to the pandemic.
Yeah, we're kind of a little late this year for getting it too. I don't want to get too loud for you. So the following is the annual report for the City of Boonville contracted agreement with Advanced Disposal, now Waste Management for 2020. We currently have a staff of 9 drivers, 2 maintenance technicians, and Brandy, of course, continues as our local operations support. Chester Cummings has been our transfer station operator since 2017. He now reports to Mike Hayes. So as the company went, it's kind of siloed now, so there's collections and post-collections. So he now reports to Mike Hay, the area director of disposal. Gabe, of course, as I have just introduced, is the local route manager, and he reports to myself. The current total headcount for Boonville facility is currently 13 employees. And of course, many of our staff lives here. In fact, Gabe is trying to get into the city. So, as far as the performance report of operational finance, quality, and service indicators, I'm just I'll cover the 2019-2020 since nobody was able to cover last year. So our totals for total tonnage was 23,637.03, and for 2020 was 22,916.82. As far as the residential stats, for 2019, total homes serviced was 152,557, with total tons collected of 2,335, so 30.6 pounds per home is how that figures. For 2020, we had 158,608 total homes collected, 2,409 tons at 30.4 pounds per home. Total payments to the City of Boonville under paragraph D, royalty payments of agreement for 2019 was $60,038.06 at 2.54 per ton, and in 2020 was $59,354.57 at 2.59 per ton. So 5% of the total residential billing in commercial city bill is retained by the City of Boonville, as we know. So as far as the quality, the total average of units serviced weekly, approximately 3,050 homes. Average units does not reflect the multi-unit properties collected within the city. And then we had 40 missed pickup calls in 2020, so 0.025% of service quality. As far as the MDR regulations, all MDR inspections found at Boonville Transfer Station were in compliance throughout 2019-2020, as well as the first quarter inspection for 2021. And our relationship with the MDNR has been excellent for the last several years. In safety, Waste Management continues to work towards the goal of 0 incidents or accidents. We continue to live by our safety culture with the motto of driven to deliver, service first, safety always. We continuously train our employees on a weekly basis, combined with our daily morning launch and safety huddles. Our programs still include new hire orientation training, which we now call the Arizona training. Smith system has been replaced by the C369 program, which was developed more for trash, for the trash business. We do our drive cam coaching, 10 days behind the wheel training before route assignment, along with safety training on OSHA and DOT and other topics related to the business. In 2020, we experienced a total of 2 OSHA recordable incidents and 2 auto liability incidents. So congrats actually to the Boonville team for year-over-year improvements on our safety record. And we're still holding pretty strong, so. Any questions on this? That I hope I can answer.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
And
Just
if
two
we can't, we'll
quick,
get back to you.
2 quick questions. On the 40 missed pickup, what does that mean?
So
What does that mean?
on 40 missed pickups, that would be calls that actually went in through the call center that are registered in the system. That would be showing us. So we can run a report that says, hey, this is what you missed for homes. Now, there are calls that come in, even now that would come in to us directly at the site or something that do not get listed through the system. So that they would not count in that.
So if Kate called me up on my cell phone and said, hey, there's something happened, can you guys go get that taken care of, like today? And sometimes those kind of calls happen, not so much out here. Then that wouldn't be a recorded call that would hit the stats.
Okay.
So it's got to go and be recorded. So that's how we keep track of it. Because I don't know what the level is, but we have a certain standard that it's got to be under. Otherwise, we're not doing what we think we should be, performing as a company. I think that we're looking pretty good on the recorded ones, right?
We are at this point, yeah. Okay. And one of the reasons that we really want them recorded is for that same purpose, right? Sure. Just because we are held to a standard. So if I'm not going to tell you I don't, somebody calls me and says, hey, can you go get this? We're just going to get it. And it doesn't always get in here because, we didn't put it in the system. We just went and did it.
One of the things that we hear all the time is that the workers' comp rates for sanitation workers are sky high. Is that what you're experiencing?
It is.
Is it higher than, say, public work that works on highways or the roads?
It is really hard to tell right now. No, it is. Work comp is high, but it's a dangerous, demanding job. And I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and a lot of the reasons that with, as we run into our automated type systems and that type of stuff is really for, a lot for that purpose, right? Because, I mean, there's so many types of injuries. Now, OSHA recordable and 2 OSHA recordables doesn't necessarily mean that we also have report onlys, right? Where somebody just, hey, I hurt my back, I hurt my arm, I hurt my shoulder, you know, a numerous amount of things. Not necessarily do they count as into a OSHA recordable, but I mean, this is outstanding actually too in this industry. So to do that, even a site this size. So does that? So it is very. I mean, it is very high. But it's the industry itself. Does that make sense?
So I think they call it the 4th or the 5th most dangerous industry in the United States right now.
Yeah, we've been listed as the 5th most dangerous.
Okay.
Just curious, do you foresee in the future being expanding service like curbside recycling pickup or anything like that?
As far as curbside services, it's a troubling time right now in a very volatile recycling market.
Okay.
Is it possible? We could look into it. Is it the best decision to be determined?
Okay.
We are more so looking to start off, if we're going to do any kind of automated service or any additions, it would be more towards carts for the trash, but something that we'll bring up at another time. Okay. And that's kind of where we're at on that.
Okay, fair enough.
Are there other questions? Okay, well, I appreciate you coming tonight. It's helpful to see all the work you do in numbers.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Good to meet you all.
Other citizens' comments? Okay, you can come forward and please state your name and fill in the form at the podium with your name, ward number, and phone number. And you have 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm Susie Drummond, and for 12 years now I've been a Boonville resident. I live in Ward 1, and it came to my attention on the front page of the Boonville Daily News that the City Council will be voting tonight on local agency funding contracts. And I'm coming as a voter and a taxpayer, representing myself. And I would like to firstly thank the City Council for their support of the good work that a lot of local nonprofit agencies do here in Boonville, like UOI, the Sheltered Workshop, and the Senior Center, and I was thinking of another one. But anyway, lots of worthwhile nonprofits. But one thing jumped out to me, and that is that the committee that makes recommendations as far as the disbursements go recommended $5,000 to 100 Acre Woods Riding Center, which is a Saline County nonprofit. That's based in Nelson, Missouri. And in contrast, they're recommending that Riley Equine Center receive $1,000, which is a Boonville entity. And I would prefer that my tax dollars, my 1/2 cent capital improvement program CIP sales tax go toward Boonville projects. And that's really all I have to say about that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for coming. Are there other citizens' comments? Okay, we'll move forward. Approval of the minutes for the May 17th, 2021 council meeting. Are there any corrections? Okay, they stand up as presented then. Next order of business, consent items, there are none. So we'll move on to presentation of accounts and claims.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1. For the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the city of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof on June the 7th, 2021, the sum of $441,897.14. General fund, $191,890.55. Sanitation, $49,944.30. CIP tax, $5,350.99. Waterworks, $95,382.68. Capital projects, $0.00. Wastewater, $53,982.60. Tourism, $6,942.88. Gaming, $15,212.05. Parks and Water, $1,016.14. Camper sales tax, $22,174.95. Economic development projects, $0.00. Section 2. The accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $441,897.14, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on June 7, 2021. Read for the second time this June 7, 2021, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to be approved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, roll call.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
All right, moving on to unfinished business. Item B, we skip item A. Second reading of bill number 2021-017, approving local agency funding contracts.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving local agency funding contracts for services, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
The local agency funding takes application and makes decisions based on competitive application and presentation provided to the committee. The funds received by various agencies reflect a discussion, presentation, and competitive application. All these funds are intended for the Boonville area residents. This includes funds distributed to the Central Missouri Food Bank in Columbia, Missouri, Oates in Jefferson City, Missouri, and 100 Acre Woods in Saline County. The mission statement for the local agency funding states that the funds are used for the specific projects that provide relief and care for the indigent or that enhance the quality of life of Boonville residents. Therefore, on the funding given to the agencies that are out of town, the receipts are thoroughly reviewed by the staff to ensure that the funds are only used for the Boonville residents. In some cases, the names of residents are given for service rendered. The local agency funding committee stands behind their own decision in distributing of these funds.
Need a motion to approve.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the committee recommendation.
Is there a second? Questions or comments?
Good.
Okay.
One comment. I know the one individual may be in Saline County, and it looks kind of funny that it's $1,000 to somebody in Cooper County, and then just on the other side of Blackwater, Nelson, you're looking at $5,000. But it may be a matter of need in these cases more than anything. So I'm sure they considered, and I guess there's nothing against helping fund somebody that's close but out of county. Does anybody know? I guess that's okay.
I would just comment, I sat on this committee at one time, and I can tell you, I don't know in 2021, but early years, I know there were at least 4 Boonville residents attending this farm. that we're talking about. I'm not squabble with the dollars, but I share Ms. Cummings' viewpoint. I firmly believe the CIP money should go to Boonville, the service of Boonville residents. And I know we've got a number of agencies that are serving more than Boonville residents. I use not to pick on any particular agency, but I know, say, the Harvest House, for example. I know people come here all the time, maybe visiting the people in the prison, and they need a place to stay. And I'm not saying maybe that's the right thing to do. I don't know, but I know they house a number of those folks that come to town. And so, I would really suggest that the committee, the group that drew up these policies, these guidelines, regroup and rethink about who should qualify for this program. Because I think over years we've perhaps moved a little further out than we really want to or should.
Okay, thank you. Whitney?
So Susan, I was curious if we have any background or insight into the actual request from each one of them, to see maybe what each one of them did request, because we might be meeting that request. The next thing is to go over who's on the committee, so we understand, because we have this committee to kind of review all of these requests and then give us a recommendation. So
Thank you. I'm looking to Teresa
yeah,
because she knows everything.
Okay.
Sorry, just to second that, I would like, if we could, and I don't know how much detail we can go into at this particular meeting, but to understand exactly, to what was saying, what did go into the decision and why, it would really help me a lot, just to understand the context behind the dollar amount, if possible.
It was basically, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer?
Go ahead, Teresa, you can answer it.
Okay, it was basically, it was based on the presentation and the need request and the competitive application. And so each organization does have a set of guidelines. The guidelines do state that they're used for specific projects that provide relief and care for the indigent or that enhance the quality of life for Boonville residents. So they have to do something for Boonville residents. For instance, the Saline County entity, they only give me the names of people that live in the town of Boonville that are benefiting from their program, and that's only what they get paid for, are for those sessions. Also, there's other entities like the Central Missouri Food Bank. They are an entity out of Columbia, Missouri. However, they are helping the citizens of Boonville through the Buddy Pack system, giving the food to the kids at school. Also with the Harvest House, they are in town, they're an organization here in town, but it does not only help the people that are out of town coming in who are transients, but they're also helping the citizens of Boonville, because you do not see the homeless sitting on the roadside not having a place to stay, because we are providing that service for them. So the board takes in all of these applications and all the presentations, and they do weigh as to how they affect the town. They are very concerned about feeding the communities, or feeding the community, through the Boonslick Senior Center. They help feed the senior citizens here in Boonville. You've got your the Neighbors Helping Neighbors. These are all helping our town by feeding people. So it is a competitive application, and there might have been some things that one applicant or another didn't mention in their application, whereas another one did mention it. And so the committee, which I sat on, was unaware that this actually took place, that something did occur, and that they did benefit in more ways than one. And it was after the board's decision that they found out through a secondary meeting, and they still decided to keep the figures that they had come up with.
There may be a slight slant toward children, helping children and the elderly, I think. And for example, I think the post-prom program was an excellent example. This, of course, is a group got together and they are holding events for prom goers after the dance and all is over out here. They can go to the Y and then enjoy the evening as opposed to being out in the streets and, you know, and getting in trouble. So those are some worthy projects, I think, that really helps the community as a whole.
And then also the Kiwanis, getting the school supplies and the haircuts for the kids as well. They're not only, I understand some of these agencies are not located inside the city limits of Boonville. However, their mission is to help people in Boonville. And that's why we're able to go ahead and give that local agency funding the money.
Barry, is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, this is my first year with the local agency funding, and going forward, we'll, hopefully, if I'm on the other committee again, we can do something different. You know what I mean? I'm sorry that, you know what I mean, people are upset about this lady from Saline County and Miss Riley, but maybe we can do something different next year. Hopefully that answered your question.
And just to reiterate, the money that was allotted to the 100-acre ranch, that was for service to Boonville residents, right?
That is correct. They had received funding in 2016-17 and 2018-19. And so was Riley Equine Center. And both organizations gave me the names of the Boonville residences that benefited from their services. And those were the only funds that we paid for.
Right.
So even though, let's say, for instance, there was 1 year that 100-acre wood was awarded $2,700, and that was in 16-17. However, they only gave me enough to where we could pay them $1,350 based on the Boonville residences that actually went to their agency, and that's all we paid them.
It's a 50-50.
It is.
Just
It is.
background.
The
Just
five-
like, go ahead.
Is the 5,000 the maximum allowable budget?
No.
Okay.
The maximum, I believe, is no more than 25% of the total amount of funds available to local agency funding shall be awarded to any one project.
But what's in the state now is we're voting on 5,000 being the maximum for this year.
That's what they requested, is that
That's,
right?
well, they actually requested 18,000, but the committee felt that 5,000 would suffice.
Okay.
One final, is it possible that each agency can report how many Boonville residents they're serving?
They do. They do. They itemize it. I've got them with me here, and they do.
On the app?
No, not on the
That's what I'm
application.
talking about, on the app.
No, they do it on their receipts.
Yeah, I know that, but can they do it on the app?
That's
My question, that's my question.
they could, but I think the general thing was that and they could put it on an introduction, certainly, but previously on your receipts so when they went to get reimbursement, you have a closeout report. So that sort of closes out the cycle of the 19-20 grant. So we got 5,000, we did a project and we helped 100 people, and here we spent 10,000 and here's our 5.
I think my point is it helps to make the decision what would be awarded if we knew up front how many Boonville residents they expect to serve. It would help in the selection process and how much you want to award. That's the reason why I would suggest, my recommendation would be to actually indicate on the app how many Boonville residents they expect to serve.
I think, isn't there a part on the, I haven't seen the application about what you do and how many people, like a general information
There is a
category on the
general
application?
information,
I know for a fact it's not given on every app because I've looked at too many of them to know that it's not.
I was gonna say, I know it's asked about their general history or their.
It just asks what goods and services will the city funds be used to purchase. It inquires how will the Boonville residents benefit from this project. Who is the target audience and what are the anticipated benefits?
I would just like to consider, for you to consider that, okay?
I would suggest that, Barry, you address that with the local funding
Yes, I
agency.
will.
That seems like a reasonable topic to discuss with them.
I think also we were going back in the books that we did sort of a significant revision on the application sometime in 2012. So maybe there's just a general sense that we want to revisit and see how it needs to be updated for 2021, 22. I guess it'd be 22 next year.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
We already have a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've been discussing, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Okay, second reading of bill number 2021-018, approving project and final site plan for MU Healthcare Center.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, approving the final site plan for the University of Missouri Boonville Health Clinic at 516 Jackson Road, Boonville, Cooper County, Missouri, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Do I do second? Okay, is there a motion?
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
I'll second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Is there discussion or questions? Okay, roll call.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to new business, discussion on bids for Kemper Library lot improvements.
I believe Mr. Arrowood is here. Come on up to the hot seat. We included in the packet the letter that I sent him asking, since we haven't had the opportunity to work with him before. And I'm just gonna turn it over to the council to see if they have any questions.
I have one. Have you poured a lot of concrete parking lots, roads, and sidewalks? And if you have, could you elaborate on your experience?
I didn't hear the last part,
Elaborate on your project experience of pouring.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
So we currently have a site services contract with Columbia Public Schools, and we remove and replace lots and lots of sidewalks and entryways and parking lots. It's a yearly contract that we've had for the last 3 years. They've renewed it every year. We've done, I believe in earlier communication, I provided a list of projects that we'd completed similar in nature to this one. So, I mean, we didn't initially start pouring concrete for a living. We hoped we wouldn't have to work that hard, but it's just kind of evolved to that.
Okay.
But I can provide you with a long list if you'd like. I believe I sent some of that earlier.
Mr. Arrowood, have you ever poured an ADA ramp?
Yes, ma'am. We just, most recently, we just did about 12,000 feet of sidewalk for the city of Moberly. That was federally funded with MoDOT. All ADA accessible stuff that we had to make sure MoDOT went through and checked every foot of it with a 2-foot smart level to make sure that it was in compliance with ADA standards, and we had 0 corrections.
How about stairs? You pour a lot of stairs.
We do?
Do they make forms for stairs?
Unfortunately, not
So everything has to be.
Not for these stairs, for sure. These are quite a set of steps,
So
so.
are they constructed, they'll be constructed
Yeah.
out of lumber?
Lumber forms to, you know, you can't really, you have to put the cant on them, on the back tread, so that you can take that off and rub it and finish it. So they really have to be piecemeal together to get a good finish on. Really labor intensive and not great when your price of lumber like it is right now, but, yeah, you have to, pretty much have to put them together all all separate pieces to have access to them.
So you've had a lot of experience on stairs and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Can you give an example, like churches or something like that?
Yeah, we've done churches. We've done Douglas High School in Columbia. We did that. Rockbridge High School, we did a set there. We actually just did a set at the corner of Providence and Broadway at the new Gateway to Columbia project that they're doing for the district down there. We just poured those a couple weeks ago.
So, Mr. Edward, on some of these projects, you're talking about where they get checked. This project specifically has a lot of angles and elevations we gotta meet. When they check those projects and it doesn't meet specs, how do you go about fixing that?
Well, unfortunately, most of the time, there's always a possibility to grind it. Aesthetically, that's not really very pleasing. If you pay for new concrete look, you don't want it to look like it was ground. So the remedy for that most of the time is to remove it and replace it. That's about the only way to do it.
And I'm guessing that in your line of.
Unfortunately, I tell you that from experience.
Yeah, you've had to do that
Yeah,
before.
it will happen
Okay,
occasionally. And to be honest with you, I would reckon ADA sometimes to witchcraft, because depending on which town you go to and what municipality and what inspector's looking at it, sometimes it's all over the board as far as the ramps and how they want them. Some want the wings, some want the curbs, and it's really difficult sometimes, depending on the topography and to meet those. And Scott can speak to that sometimes it's just really hard to get ADA. He spends a lot of time designing it that way.
Do you have any open projects not finished because of the paperwork?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Not you aware of? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Andrew.
Yeah, when it comes to doing the finishing work, do you own most of your finishing work equipment? Is that something you have in your inventory, or do you have to rent?
Yes. No, I own a significant amount of equipment. I'm not saying that we occasionally don't rent some to supplement when we're short, but generally we use all our own equipment.
And then, like, in order to get things level and things, do you use like vibratory screeds and things like that? Is that kind of,
Depends on the application. We have roller screeds, we have truss screed, we have vibra screed. It really kind of depends on the application in particular. I mean, we're currently pouring 12,000 yards of concrete on Highway 63 for MoDOT, and we're doing it with a roller screed. They're eliminating the crossovers and putting the J-turns in.
So with any other business, there's always liability. Liquidated charges, anything that you had to go back and had to pay back for because something wasn't done on time, because it happens.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's done this for very long, if they would tell you that they've not had a project go bad, I would stop short of calling them a liar. I'd say they're just not telling you all the facts. Things happen. That's just part of this, and of course, in the last year, we've all had a real lesson on what we could predict and not predict. So, right now, currently, delivery of materials is a disaster. Things that you would think are generally normal lead time items are, way out. So, we've had a few curveballs over the last 18 months for sure to try to mitigate. But, I will not sit here and tell you I've never had a project that did not go exactly like I wanted it to. But what's important to us is not whether or not we had one that didn't go the way it was supposed to. It's how you respond if that does happen. I would like to tell you that none of them ever go wrong, but they do sometimes. And what's important is how you manage that when it does.
Thank you. One of the things that's very important is the completing the project on time. What is your record on completing the projects on time? Have you ever been delayed or on getting the work done?
Yeah, we've had and few projects generally go from start to finish without some type of change. There's generally always something that's unforeseen for some reason. Now, whether that add to or decreases the scope of work, as much as we'd like to think that we can draw it out on paper and cover everything, that just doesn't happen. There's just things that you can't bank on, and you run into those issues. I wouldn't foresee that with your project, because a lot of the groundwork is already done, so there's not a whole lot there that we should be able to see.
Question.
Taking that into consideration, what percentage would you put on your complete on time? Understanding that changes always come or usually come.
Like, this year or in my career? In the last year, I would say probably 95%.
I'm not sure what kind of crew you have, so will you have subcontractors on this job?
On this project, I believe Meyer Electric will be the subcontractor, and we have a metal fabricator to fabricate the handrails.
Yeah. So when you're going through a big project like that, as far as financing, have you ever had trouble paying subcontractors and keeping them happy?
No, sir.
Good.
My bank really likes it.
The bank.
They like my interest money.
Good deal.
Are there other questions? Okay, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Steve.
Just curious, you know what, your concrete has to be certain strength and that kind of stuff, and it gets tested. Have you ever had a lot of problems with, I mean, it almost had to be a miscommunication between you and the guys at the concrete plant to have something that didn't grade up to test? Have you ever had that kind of problem?
I mean, from our end of it, it's generally pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you go to McDonald's and order a Big Mac and they give you a quarter pounder. I mean, when we call the plant, we tell them, we'll submit a mix design to the engineer, he'll approve it. That's the mix design that we'll tell them we want on the project. Now, they're human there, and unfortunately, just like everybody, when you interject humans into it, mistakes happen sometimes.
That's why we test.
And you might get a load that you know, had too much fly ash in it, or the batch plant messed up. Those things do happen. I can't tell you, but they don't happen exclusively to my company. They happen to every company.
I thought didn't we have a water tower built here at one time? Some of the concrete had to be repoured.
Yeah, it happens. And the concrete company generally, you know, will stand behind it. I mean, especially if you do a lot of business with them, and you know, there's just not a whole lot of concrete companies out there that are owned by the same people anymore. So,
Right, yeah.
So you've named a lot of big projects that you've done. Can you just generally comment, what's the biggest challenges you're seeing in those projects? Just generally speaking, in your industry, what are you seeing as the biggest challenges you're facing?
qualified labor, single biggest issue. What we do is hot and dirty and hard work, and we just really struggle to find qualified help. I'm a signatory with Local 518, Cement Masons and Finishers. Recently just did that in the last year, simply because trying to find qualified labor has been such a struggle. That's been a plague for several years. But on top of that now is the availability of materials. I mean, that has been really problematic on multiple fronts. And your project is not going to be exclusive to that. I mean, it's going to be critical that we immediately get the electrical items and the doors ordered, because those are long lead time items that, they might not be, but it would not surprise me if you were looking at a significant lead time on those items, just because, and I believe that to be part of the same issue with those suppliers. Lack of labor, transportation, all those things play into that, I believe.
One more. You're the owner, right?
I am.
Okay, so a project this size, it's pretty big, good size for Boonville. What percent of time do you plan on being on site?
Well, I'll have a superintendent that will be on site all the time. Generally, I spend the majority of my time going from project to project or a meeting or typing an email anymore. But I will be on the project, I won't say every day, but multiple times a week I will be there. My superintendents, the guy I have slated for your project, this is my company. Really, I have a crew that does MoDOT work because that's what they do. That's what their experience is in. And then I have a crew that does more municipality and decorative and different different style projects. My MoDOT crew would not like those steps for sure.
Other questions? Are we ready to approve a contractor or? Whitney?
Mayor, I move that we do not accept S&A Equipment and Builders bid for the Kemper Library project, or parking lot improvements, due to being determined to be a non-responsible contractor, and move forward with the reading of resolution R 2021-06, approving Rad A. Baker Construction LLC for the new business in item B.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
I'm gonna abstain.
abstaining. Meadows,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
All right.
Read the resolution.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consider, is that the one up there?
Yes.
Okay. Consider resolution R 2021-06, approving specific company's bid on Kemper Library parking lot improvements.
a resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving an agreement between Rad A. Baker Construction LLC and the City of Boonville, Missouri pertaining to Kemper Library lot improvements and providing an effective date therefore. Whereas the City of Boonville has solicited and received bids for this project and determined that Rad A. Baker Construction LLC represents the best bid pursuant to the purchasing code set forth in Section 2-20 of the City of Boonville Code of Ordinances. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that a certain agreement between Rad A. Baker Construction LLC and the City of Boonville, Missouri relating to the Kemper Library parking lot improvements, a copy of which is marked Exhibit A, is attached hereto and made a part hereof, is hereby approved. Section 2, that the city administrator and city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said agreement on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval, passed this 7th day of June, 2021 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Mayor, make a motion to be approved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just didn't, I mean, this guy stands up there and answers all these questions. Where's the other guy? I mean, this may be the right decisions, I just didn't feel good about it.
So to me, this is just like the committee stuff earlier. We have a committee that makes recommendations, that reviews everything specifically, that goes over the details, that this is their business and that's what they go through. So, the recommendations I'm gonna take come from those said people that we put in those
I
positions.
agree with that, but man,
I agree with you, Steve.
I'm
mean,
sorry.
I really appreciate him coming here and answering our question. I think it's very important. Taking in everything that we heard and that all of the different things, you know, it was just, I thought it was the right decision. I do appreciate him very, very much.
Oh, man.
He did a great job. I mean, I'm not gonna doubt that one bit.
Other discussion, thoughts? Okay, roll call then.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes.
Okay, item C, consider resolution R 2021-07, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement to contract building inspection services between the City of Boonville and the City of Pilot Grove.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Pilot Grove, Missouri and the City of Boonville, Missouri to perform building inspection services by the Boonville Building Inspector and providing an effective date therefore. Whereas the City of Pilot Grove has new building construction planned within its city limits, and whereas the City of Pilot Grove does not have the need, that's correct, for an on-staff building inspector, and asks the City of Boonville to provide building inspection services on a limited basis to provide inspection services for the new construction and renovation in Pilot Grove under the terms and conditions of the attached intergovernmental agreement. And whereas the Boonville Building Inspector believes that this service can be scheduled in such a way and is not too numerous so as to be easily accommodated during normal business day. And whereas the City Council of Boonville, Missouri believe that this is an opportunity to share expertise to another community in Cooper County without any undue burden on the citizens of Boonville or city staff. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri shall approve and authorize an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Pilot Grove, Missouri for limited building inspection services as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto, and made a part hereof as fully as if set forth herein verbatim. Section 2, that the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said contract on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval past the 7th day of June 2021 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
All right. Whitney,
Mayor, make a motion to be approved.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there questions or
I have a
discussion?
couple of questions on this. We approved this last year, right? How much time did he spend, you know?
They didn't actually call you at all last year, correct?
Yeah, last year they hired, they did this agreement, the same agreement with the City of Boonville. They was building a new fire station. And I don't know where the communication got messed up. I've done their Dollar General store for them. Last year was supposed to be the fire station. And I don't know if that ever got relayed to the contractor that was doing it, that I was supposed to be coming down and doing inspections, but I never received the first phone call. They have got an 8-plex that is getting started right now, and that's what they're asking for the intergovernmental contract for now.
So no one really questioned why you didn't get called last year? I mean, did they say why they didn't call you? But they're asking.
Like I said, other than if there was a miscommunication between the contractor and the City of Pilot Grove, that they had hired me for the inspections. I don't know if that ever got relayed to the contractor or not, but, I mean, until I get a phone call that says they're ready for footings, or they're ready for groundwork plumbing, or they're ready for rough-in plumbing, or framing inspections, anything like that, I mean, I
Sure.
don't know.
Yeah.
So,
those phone calls, so, but, yeah.
The Section 10 and Section 11 of Exhibit A, is Section 10, is it saying that if something is missed by the inspector and there's an injury resulting from his miss, that this is protecting him, and 11 is just liability? Is that how to read that, or?
Yes.
So 10 is really saying anything resulting in an injury or
Yeah, and section
resulting from, go ahead.
Yeah, and then section 11 though says that if Steve was over there and a brick fell on his
Right.
foot, that it's their workers' comp that has to cover.
That's what 11 is.
Yep, that's what 11 is.
Okay.
So 10 is what he does, we're not liable for.
Right.
And then 11 is if he's injured on the job site, it's Pilot Grove's liability, not ours.
Gotcha.
Other questions? Okay, roll call.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes.
Reports of standing committees. Mike?
I was not able to make that meeting, but the minutes are in the packet.
Okay. And let's see,
Page 23.
Yeah.
Housing Authority, Barry? do you have-
Yes, I attended that meeting, and Mr. Rohr, Bob Rohr is doing a wonderful job over there, you know what I mean, for the housing authority. So, everything's going good.
Okay.
Mayor.
Uh-huh.
Pro Tem, I'm sorry. I had a question on the Park and Rec. I'm wondering about it says here that a price check was done on 4 pools. And I was wondering what 4 pools, does anybody here can answer that?
I
What
think Paul would be, I think it was like Moberly, Columbia, Marshall, and maybe Sedalia.
Sedalia, you know, I think that's. the
Mobley,
size.
Marshall, Sedalia, and who was the other one?
Columbia, maybe. I can double check. Paul's out this week, but when he
Okay.
gets back, I can confirm that. I'm confident on those 3.
Okay.
Okay, and let's see, Board of Public Works, Andrew,
Yeah, there was no meeting that took place on that scheduled time.
okay? And then Street, Alley, and Sanitation.
That was also canceled, no agenda.
Okay, thanks. Reports of city officials, city administrator.
Okay, so continuing the Department Road Show, we have the police department here. So Bobby provided the information starting on page 28, and once he's done, if you guys have any questions, feel free.
I think what I put in there gives you the general idea of what we do. I'll answer any questions you have. For me, there's 4 areas that I think we need to be concerned with and look to. And Kate and I have talked about this. It's not a secret or anything like that. But when it comes to staffing, we're short all the time. Always. We never fully staff. We just don't pay enough to staff full time. There's just not that many candidates getting into law enforcement. And when they do, even if we hire somebody, I lost a guy we just barely got him trained. He's off to Atlanta, So, I mean, that's where we're going to have to somehow figure out some pay increases in the police department. Now, how that's done with COVID and all that, I do not know. But that's something that we either got to look, we got to get the pay up for the whole department. You can't just raise the patrolman up because then everybody gets, you get this. We can look into some alternatives, maybe like paying for somebody to go to training or paying for their training. But those are things that we're going to have to discuss over a long time. But that's our biggest issue right there is staffing. I think retention is a problem for us if we can get them to the 6 or 7 year mark, we have a good chance of retaining them because we have a good benefit package. In my opinion, the last thing we need to do to get our benefit package up to snuff is to get the loggers up to the next level, which is the 2% multiplier. It's not that expensive. I mean, we can get the figures. Last time we did it, the employees gave up a 2% pay raise, which funded all of it, but around, I want to say 13,000 or something. And so when you compound that 13,000 and 2% pay raise over here, the employees actually paid for the whole thing and more. So that's a retention thing. We're going to have to get there. It may be past my time, but if we're going to retain these employees, and we got to get there. Another big thing is technology, which Kate has worked. We have worked on this since Kate come around, and Teresa. So we're at a good. I think we're at a good level now. It's just something you always have to be cognizant of. You have to keep. We got a new telephone system. We got Infinitech to work on the computer, so that's helped a lot. It's just something that's always going to cost money. Technology is money. I can tell you that right now. Servers. We store all the body camera footage. I mean, we just have servers, $7,000, $8,000 servers full because we just store so much stuff. So right now we're stable. Everything's good. No complaints. We have everything we need. It's just something the council's got to keep in mind in the future when Kate or Teresa or somebody comes to you. There's going to be need for that technology. There will be need for technology. But overall, I think we're doing a good job. I think we have a good core set of officers. We have 21 police officers. And the problem is with our patrolmen. We have 8 patrolmen, and we have one patrolman that's been there probably 5 or 6 years. He's probably going to stay. We have another one that's been there 3 or 4 years. He's probably going to stay. The rest of them been there less than 2 years. Just a constant turnover at the bottom, always. We barely get them trained. We buy them a $1,000 vest. Off they go somewhere else. So it's something we have to fundamentally look at. I'm not sure what the answer is, but we need to sit down and figure out something. We're just not competitive pay-wise. I can tell you that right now. Our starting pay is $33,551. That sounds good, but it's not. We have California, Missouri paying $19 an hour. Now, I don't know what their benefit package is or anything. We have a way, at least in my opinion, we have a great benefit package, but if you take a 21-year-old kid, they don't care about they don't even think they're going to be here in 5 years, so they don't care about the pension and everything. So it's a combination of things, but I think those are the areas we have to concentrate on in the future. And
I was just going to ask, what percentage across the board have you thought, or have you figured what percentage across the board you think you need to be competitive, and then what that yearly cost would be to the city?
It's going to be somewhere. It's not going to be an insignificant amount of money.
And that's fine, but we need something to work towards, right?
You're probably talking, we probably need to get the patrolman up to somewhere around at least 35,000 starting off. Probably 36 would be better. So let's say you're talking $2,000 across the board, you're talking $40,000. Because you give a patrolman $2,000, you got to give the corporal $2,000. So 40 or 50,000. Then you got communication officer. So we have 28 full-time employees. So if you gave everybody $2,000, you'd be $56,000 a year, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I look all the time. We have a lot of issues with hiring people. Most notably is a lot of people don't want to be a police officer anymore. So the numbers of applicants are down. The number of people going to the academy is down. So consequently, we're not going to compete with Columbia PD. We're not going to compete with Jefferson City. We're not going to compete with St. Louis, Kansas City, those bigger ones, Joplin, Springfield. But we need to compete with Moberly, Marshall, those kind of in our area. And a lot of them are 35, 36,000 starting off. What we really try to concentrate on is we try to hire somebody that has a connection, who hopefully they have family around here and we can give them enough to keep them. That doesn't really happen that much. I can tell you as a chief, it's my biggest struggle is keeping help. It really just frustrates you every day of your life because we're always shorthanded. You're shorthanded and you got somebody off on work comp, you got somebody off on COVID, and and Kate could attest to it. I mean, we've been paying overtime just like crazy because that's the only way we can staff. We're just so shorthanded. So we're one short right now, only one. Other than that, we have a full staff, which is a miracle because usually we're 2 or 3 down. So we're really in pretty good shape right now. We got an applicant we're going to test and hopefully maybe get going down the road. But, we never got a ton of applicants. But geez, we got 12 or 15 applicants. Now we're lucky if we get 2 or 3 that are qualified to apply. So it's not just Boonville though. You talk to it's everywhere. It's not us in particular. It's just, there's just a lack of quality of candidates. My little grandson told me this weekend, he said, when I grow up, I want to be a police officer like you. And I told him, I didn't tell him anything. But what I thought in my mind, are you out of your dang mind? Because it's not Boonville. It's not Boonville, but overall it's demoralizing when you hear all this stuff that's just not true. It's just not true. And I don't care what anybody says, it's not true. And so when you get lumped in with a group that you didn't do anything wrong, it's demoralizing. And now they're going to take away your qualified immunity. The day they take away qualified immunity is my last day being a cop, period. End of the story. Because I'm not risking everything I've saved up over my life because I'm going to make a mistake. We all going to make mistakes. Humans make mistakes. It's just that simple. So I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but I'm just telling you, I'm highly frustrated with the public persona of police officers in the national media. Boonville, our citizens are great. We hardly get in. I mean, our men and women do a good job. I don't care what anybody says. I know it. I've been a cop for 36 years here. I know how it used to be when I came, and I know we're a lot better now. There's always room for improvement, always. But I think we got to somehow get the narrative to turn around where we can get young people who want to be police officers again, and they want to help the community. I came here from a restaurant, for God's sakes, and I thought, man, I would love to be a police officer. And because I'm a local guy, they gave me a chance. They trained me, and here I am. And I think I've done a good job, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to try to attract people that have some connection here that, I've had job offers all over the place. I didn't apply for anything. They just said, hey, you need to come work here. And I'm like, my wife didn't want to move. She worked in Nordine. So I'm lucky. I found a good job. I was happy when I came here. I was perfectly happy. That's why I think the benefit package is a big deal. Because I can tell you, when I came here, I had 2 little babies and no health insurance. When they gave me health insurance and a pension plan, I was making $12,089 a year. That was my salary in 1985. Man, I was the happiest guy in the world. I walked out here, I was happy. I had health insurance for you. When you don't have health insurance for your kids, that's why I think the benefit package is really important for city employees. It does help retain the people. And we have it. The health insurance and stuff, you can't complain about what we have. But I do think that pension would be the final piece of the puzzle for that, and then that would really make people think about leaving, especially when they get to that 7. Once you get vested at 5 years, that's when we're vested in the pension. You can kind of start seeing the change of people. Okay, well, if I take this job, but they don't have a pension, so it's just a piece of the puzzle. But we made great. I'm just going to tell you, for Earl and Kate, when I first took over chief of police, I thought we were woefully behind in equipment and technology. We've done all those projects. I can't think of a thing that we need. Like, I can just say, we need this right now. We have everything we need right now. We just have to keep moving forward. And there's always wish lists you can have. But as far as day-to-day operations, we've done a good job of getting up. And I really appreciate Earl got me a lot of stuff, and Kate's being helpful. So, overall, I know this sounds corny, but I'll put our police department up against any town our size. I'll tell you right now, we solve a lot of crimes that other town departments don't even blink at. We solve them because we work on them. But there's issues. I'll just go ahead and shut up. Y'all can ask questions. I'll probably just need to shut up so I can go home.
Your loggers, your pension plan, is that tied in with the city, or is the police department separate?
No, it's the same plan. All city employees have the same exact plan. So if anybody, if it gets raised to 2%, that covers all the employees in the city of Boonville.
Yeah, and you can ask for like a actuarial estimate,
Yeah,
I believe is what it is.
well-
You ask for a formal estimate to buy
Yeah.
up into it, and that's what we did
Yeah.
several years
This
ago.
year, COVID just sucked the wind out of everything. I mean, who knew what we were gonna run into money-wise or anything? Luckily, we came out okay, but that don't mean we were going to. So we all just kind of like, well, you gotta kind of, and Kate's already worked, just to give her credit, she worked on the salary the year before COVID hit, trying to get everybody up to a certain minimum starting wage just to get us in the ballpark of all the employees. So it's been worked on. It's just, and I can't tell you where the money's gonna come from. I'm not a money guy. I'm just a guy that knows what I need, and y'all can figure out the money somewhere else. But I mean, overall, we're doing good.
Hi, it's Bobby. I was looking at your calls for
Yeah.
service, and you state for 2020, 2019, and it looks like if it trends out, 2021, you're going to be down some. Is that right?
We hope so, but you never know when it's gonna come around. And I can tell you, those statistics we get them out of the CAD system, so it's kinda correct. I mean, that's any call that comes in from 911 or any call that comes into our dispatch, that doesn't count all this, that's not gonna count your self-initiated calls that the officers do if they stop a car or things like that. Those are actually somebody picking up the phone, calling for service. I got a lock, that can be a lockout, it can be a homicide, it can be a domestic violence, but I think the numbers are down. I think a lot of it is COVID. We just did not have the people moving around in that last year. Now it's starting to pick up now. We're starting to see, just go by the casino from today versus last year, and it's a big difference. We usually, in all the time I've been a chief, we're always right in there around 11, 12, 13,000 calls almost every time. I might go back further, but if it trends down, that'll be a blessing for us, I can promise you.
I'm gonna give, I hope this is a fair question to you, but I guess I've always wondered, what is the police department position on gun control?
I don't think the police department has a position on that. I don't think we should have a position on that. We are enforcers of the law, not makers of the law. Now, I have a personal opinion. I'll tell you right now, I don't believe in it one damn bit. That's my personal opinion. As the police chief, I do whatever y'all tell me to do. If y'all tell me to go, hey, I want a guy directing traffic at 3rd and Spring every day from 6 to 8, we may hate it, but we're gonna go down there and do it. But I don't think we should take a legislative position as a police department. I don't think our job is enforcement. We enforce the city, state, county, and federal law. Whatever the legislature sets out, that's what we do. I can tell you right now, we have ordinance right now I think are just dumb as hell. But we enforce it because, and some of them are some of them are just out. Some of them are just outdated. It's nobody's fault. It just, things pass through and everything. But my job is to get my people to enforce whatever ordinances y'all set out, period. End of the story. I can have all the personal opinions I want, but that's not what I'm gonna do. But,
Anything else? Well, thank you. That's
I appreciate
really
that.
helpful.
I know I probably go on a little too much. Even after 36 years, I'm still passionate. I can't tell you.
Okay, did you have anything?
I have nothing further.
Okay.
I don't want to top that.
Yeah. There are some members of the Parks and Rec Committee that requires our approval on page 34. Terry Davis, Larry Human, and Kathleen Conway. Is there a motion?
I move that,
We
add them to the Parks and Rec or renew them.
Okay, and there's a second?
They know they're getting renewed, correct? Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, they said they volunteered in there.
I don't want to surprise them, all I'm saying. If they're in agreement, I'm certainly in agreement.
Yeah, I read it.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes.
And city clerk.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. That brings us to miscellaneous. I have something, and if you throw your packets at me, I'm ducking under the desk. But after our discussion at the last meeting about the ad hoc versus on-call committee appointments, I think what I really intended to say was I thought it should be ad hoc and not on-call and not quarterly. And I didn't really come back around and make that clear. And I just wanted to put it out there. Part of the issue is getting individuals to serve on these committees. And it's a source of frustration. And just from my own perspective, while I think it's important to have citizens on these committees, I can't help but think that an ad hoc committee would serve the purpose just as well as maybe an on-call, and not have that frustration of trying to have a regular committee. They could be appointed when there is a need. I wanted to put my opinion out there and see if there was any discussion that you might want to reconsider, or if not, that's fine too.
I'm not sure, where did we end up?
You ended up with on-call. Your recommendation was to have the committees be on-call, but to eliminate animal control, airport, and cemetery, right?
Yes.
But the remaining, which would be Parks and Rec, street, alley, sanitation,
I gotta go back to my notes.
no, just on call. So you would always have a full roster of members year over year, as opposed to an ad hoc, which would be, let's say, we're gonna do something at the police station, we're gonna have a big project, and we create an ad hoc committee to help manage the project.
Is there a desire to continue thinking about this before Kate develops the, what is it, resolution?
It'll be an ordinance change.
Or do we just want to go ahead with what we approved, which is the on-call? It's just really more of a nod your head if you agree, or shake your head if you don't agree.
I think on-call makes a lot of sense. That's my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead. Andrew said it. I was
Okay.
gonna say the same thing.
On-call and on-call. Whitney, what do you think?
I actually still like the on-call where somebody's kind of committed to that area.
Yeah, good.
Albert,
On-call.
So I guess that means I gotta find people now.
Steve?
On-call with pizza.
Okay. Well,
So-
I can't do anything about that.
The one additional change, I had worked on a draft ordinance, and if you guys are amenable, I was going to extend the terms from 2 years to 3 or 4, just to give us a little more breathing room, unless you guys really want the 2-year term, in which case we'll be asking you to help us find members every 2 years.
Actually, every year,
Every year, yeah.
because they'll switch.
Yeah, so if you guys don't mind, I was gonna extend the term out a little bit longer, maybe 3 or 4, which is, like I said, usually most of these people, if you look at the board anyways, they've served multiple terms.
Okay, well, that's what we'll do, on call. Is there any other miscellaneous business? Okay, is there a motion to enter closed session?
Second.
Second? I do a roll call. Roll call?
Albert,
Yes.
Yes.
Venable, Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Cowherd.
Yes. I just might take a restroom break.
Yeah, what?
Yes.
About 5.